you don't mind, I'd like to have one mole masturbating moment with my grandson. If you don't mind. Yes, moles masturbate. Don't give me that look. Why did I marry you? Oh, I love you.
Grandma, could I have some cookies?
And Leonard, how do you suppose I get cookies? Bake them? Okay, I'll go bake some. Don't. Here's your cookies.
Thanks, Grandma.
You're welcome, my dear. You know, I cooked cookies for your grandfather for 40 years, and not one solitary time did he say thank you. I also defecated on the floor for 40 years as well, and he never said a damn word. Until today, and now he's going around prancing with chairs, acting like he's going to kill me, and now he wants to apologize. This man is mad, but I love him.
Grandma, tell me the story of Ronnie James Dio.
Again? That's such a long tale, Leonard. I suppose I will, if it'll help you get better grades. Which part of the tale do you want to hear first? Because they're interchangeable. We have part 1, the galaxy, part 2, the interdimensional travel. We have part 3, the galactic entourage. We have part 4, where I screw him. And that's all.
Let's start from the beginning.
Well, part 1 goes as this. Ronnie and I are on a picnic together. And when we got there, the squirrels, dear God, the squirrels were everywhere. And Dio went, "Yeah!" And the squirrels scattered. Dio was such an extravagant individual. His toilets were lined with feces. Such an expense I cannot imagine. Leonard, you may or may not remember the second part, but Dio actually flies.
I don't seem to recall.
You don't recall. I tell you a tale of a man flying, and me holding on to his dick, and you don't remember. Leonard, sometimes I just wonder how you came from your grandfather and I. We were such respectable citizens back in the 1820s, and now that you are our pride and joy, you go and make us look like fools. Leonard, the 4 Germanic tribes of the Saiyan race, all loosely rooted in Norse mythology, all gathered together that day. They individually jumped around Nappa's head, which had a small fire inside of a bird's nest.
What?
Nappa went down to his workshop to build us a recreational sled. Pay attention!
Forgive me, Grandma.
It was widely known at that time that I was the most powerful woman in the universe. It all changed again when you were born, but it also changed because Dio said I was a fat, ugly fool. He was right on one thing. I was a damn fool for being with him that whole time. He double-crossed me with his own brother. The 4 horsemen of the rebirth of the Genophicide were all at my front door that day. They said, "You've won Publishers Clearinghouse today! You've won Publishers Clearinghouse!" And I was like, "No way! No, wait, get out!" And I said, "How much is it this time?" And they said, "You get a free bar of soap." And I said, "You fuckers! You fuckers! You get my hopes up, you nearly give me a heart attack, and then you say I want a bar of soap!" Later that day, Dio came by with chocolates, and he apologized for what he did. And I said, "Dio, Ronnie, my love, there is only you. There is me. There is the physical earth that we walk on. And there's you. That's it. We could be happy together that way. You know, you and your microphone, you and your guitar. But we would be happy. It's other people that corrupt us. It's these big-breasted models that think sleeping with a rock star is the biggest thrill in the world. like me. Then, at that very moment in time that Dio was at the door, an insane man on a riding lawnmower came by. The lawnmower had to be at least 3,000 horsepower, and it had one of those little detachable boat, I don't even know what you call them, but they stick out the side, and the fucking thing clotheslined Dio, bashing his skull on my front porch. It was both the greatest and worst day of my life again. It was the same day you were born. Leonard, do you know what Dio's final words and thoughts were?
No, Grandma, what were they?
He said simply, "My love, I'm Dio. I'm Dio. You walked with me. You talked with me. I'm Dio." And then he passed on. Leonard, are you looking at my enormous breasts again? You incestuous Galapagos tortoise from Indonesia. Dio was not dead. He didn't use what's known nowadays as a phoenix down. Back then it was called stardust. But now, your grandfather formulated out of 10,000 sunflower seeds and a little bit of sugar and spice and everything nice. He then came forth in a cauldron of pure fire and simply said this: "I'm gonna finish you, Dio. You only got half your HP." It was then that your grandfather intensified his hatred. For whatever reason, I guess it was these that intensified his hatred. Anyhow, he wanted me, and he knew Dio was alive again. I was Dio's until he was dead. And I really wasn't in the mood to help Dio that day. Dio bought the cheapest flowers in the whole place. And all the while, he thought I was ignorant, you see. He thought that I didn't know chrysanthemum from a rhododendron. What? What Dio should have known that day is that if he'd have bought me a nice bouquet of flowers, that I would have assisted him in destroying your grandfather. But he didn't. One swift aurora beam would have completely knocked your grandfather off of his feet and he would have slipped into tomb. But instead, your grandfather pulled off his belt and just choked Dio to death. It wasn't anything grandiose. He just choked him. He choked him to where he couldn't breathe. And you know, the funny thing was, at the mortuary, the guy said, "It looks like he's been murdered." And the guy said, "No, he probably just sang," and then threw the microphone, there was a string around, and then wrapped around his neck and died. It happens to singers all the time. It's one of those things, Leonard, that you either learn as a young man or you die of as an adult. You either learn or you die. And Dio, being the international spectacle that he is and he's dead. He didn't learn. He did this every day, and then when he really didn't die of that, like everyone thought he would, they thought he did. And your grandfather is on the loose, and he'll probably kill me. Leonard, I'll continue telling you the story of Dio and your grandfather when I get back. I desperately need to go to the store and buy some KY jelly so I can fit more dill pickles into our refrigerator. I'll be back.
Okay, goodbye. Give me some cookies while you're out.
You are a lazy asshole, Leonard. All you do is sleep under that damn blue blanket. Well, I suppose that's what I told you. Goodbye. John Petrucci.